Tonight, we drift into the very beginning of everything, the birth of the cosmos itself. Close your eyes and imagine a silence deeper than sleep, a stillness beyond stillness, where nothing yet existed. No stars, no galaxies, no time to measure, no space to hold. Only a waiting hush, endless and vast, though there was not yet any vastness to name. It is hard to picture, isn't it? Not darkness, not light, not sound, not quiet. Simply a mystery, resting on the edge of being. And in that hush, something extraordinary stirred a spark so small, yet infinite in power, waiting to unfold. Then it happened. A moment outside of all moments. The spark expanded, not like an explosion in space, but as space itself stretching open. In less than a heartbeat, the universe bloomed. Ow. Time began its steady flow, and what was once nothing became everything. As you float here with me, let your thoughts loosen, like stars drifting apart in the night sky. There is no hurry, no wait, only the gentle unfolding of a story as old as existence. And if you enjoy drifting through the stars with me, let your heart quietly subscribe, so we may journey again softly, dreamily, through the universe's endless night. Tonight, as you rest, we drift further back than memory, further back than history, further back even than the stars. We drift into a place that is not a place at all, a realm that existed before time began. It is difficult for the waking mind to imagine such a thing. We are so used to beginnings and endings, to counting the seconds, to seeing the rise and fall of days. Yet before the birth of the cosmos, there was no before, and no after. There was no ticking of clocks, no rhythm of seasons, no gentle pulse of heartbeats. Time had not yet opened its eyes. The universe, as you know it, had not yet whispered its first breath. What existed then? Nothing, and yet not the kind of nothing you might imagine. Not the empty black of a night sky, for there was no sky. Not the quiet you hear in a still room, for there was no sound. It was not darkness, for there was no light against which darkness could be compared. It was not silence, for there was no voice waiting to be hushed. It was a state beyond opposites, beyond the words we hold in our mouths. A hush that was not silence. A shadow that was not dark. Imagine resting inside that paradox, a cradle of not light and not dark, not sound and not quiet. Imagine floating in a vastness that was not vast, an endlessness that had no measure. The mind struggles, it circles and grasps, but slips away. And in that slipping, in that surrender, you begin to feel the shape of the mystery. For within that nothingness, there was potential. Like a dream before it is dreamt, like a story before it is told, like a seed before it bursts into bloom. Every galaxy, every star, every drifting planet, every particle of matter and spark of energy, all rested there, compressed into a singular state. A point smaller than thought, denser than imagination, beyond all comparison. It was the womb of reality itself, holding everything that would ever be. Let your drift here with me. Let your breathing slow. Inhale as though you are taking in the hush of eternity. Exhale as though you are releasing yourself into the softest abyss. Feel the weight of time slip from your shoulders, for here there is no time. Feel the walls of space dissolve around you, for here there is no space. Only a quiet possibility, poised upon the edge of becoming. It was not a place to wait, for waiting had no meaning without time. And yet, in some gentle way, it was waiting. Waiting to awaken, waiting to unfold, waiting to stretch itself wide into the endless heavens. Imagine the way a sleeper stirs before dawn, a hand twitching in dream, a breath deepening, the faintest flicker behind closed eyes. That was the state of the cosmos asleep, but restless, filled with a silence ready to shatter. Not light, not darkness, not sound, not silence. A paradox that holds you gently like a lullaby without words. And in that paradox, in that impossible stillness, everything you have ever known was cradled. So let yourself rest in that space. Let yourself dissolve into the hush. You are floating in the before, in the nothing, in the great womb of possibility. As you rest, the universe itself prepares to open. Tonight, as you rest, we drift into the hush before creation, to the edge where stillness gathered itself into the first spark. You have floated with me through the silence of not darkness and not light, not silence and not sound, and now we arrive at the threshold where the singularity waited. It was not a point, though we call it a point. It was not a seed, though it held the promise of every bloom. It was not a star, though it burned with more heat than all stars combined. It was the all, pressed into the smallest nothing. Infinite density folded into something smaller than thought itself. The singularity was everything, and yet it was quiet. Imagine, if you can, the pause before a heartbeat, that stillness that gathers in your chest, that tension that holds your breath suspended. That is what the singularity was, a heartbeat waiting to happen, an exhale waiting to be released, a rhythm waiting to begin. It was the universe curled in on itself, cradled in its own silence, not dark, not light, not asleep, not awake. It was the womb of reality itself, and in that womb, all that ever would be was already present. Every galaxy was there, like a thought unspoken. Every star, like a song unsung. Every life, like a dream not yet dreamt. Even you, listening now, drifting into sleep, were already folded into that infinite hush. Take a slow, deep breath and feel that pause at the top, the space between inhale and exhale. Rest in that moment. That is the place where the cosmos rested, for eternity and for no time at all. We call it infinite density, but words slide away from its reality. Infinite temperature, infinite compression. The mind tries to picture it as smaller than an atom, brighter than all suns, but imagination falters. It was not a thing inside space, because space did not exist. It was not a moment inside time, because time had not yet begun. The singularity was not in anything, it was everything. Picture a violin string held in stillness. Cannot yet hear its music, and yet every note it might play is already there, folded into its tension. The singularity was that tension, pure potential, humming quietly in silence, waiting to be plucked. And then, without warning, without cause, without reason, the first spark came. It's not like a bomb exploding into emptiness, but like the fabric of being stretching open. Expansion, unfolding, a breath finally released. After eternity's pause, the singularity released itself, and space was born. Time opened its eyes. Heat spilled outward, unimaginable, unrelenting. Not into emptiness, but creating space as it expanded. Every particle, every wave of energy, every shimmer of matter rushed outward, a cosmic heartbeat echoing into existence. It was not violent, though it was powerful. It was not chaos, though it was wild. It was creation. The first spark ignited not destruction, but released the transformation of stillness into motion. Silence into song, nothing into everything. Close your eyes and drift with it. Imagine being carried in that first wave, weightless, timeless, floating outward as space unfolded beneath you. There is no ground, no sky, only expansion, swelling tide of existence, endless, unstoppable, serene. The temperature was beyond all measure, the density beyond imagining. And yet in that fiery birth, patterns already began to form, energy flowing into matter, particles dancing in a frenzy of creation. The laws of physics themselves settling into place like the first lines of a lullaby. Gravity stirring, strong and soft, forces taking shape, weaving the fabric of reality. Everything that would ever be was decided in those first instants. Every star, every world, every drifting atom of your body, you were already there, written into the spark. Stardust waiting to shine, dreams waiting to form. Take another breath. Inhale. Hold gently at the top, exhale, as though you are the universe itself expanding. Feel the release, the surrender, the great unfolding. The spark has begun, and you are within it. The expansion was faster than light, a rushing bloom that defies comprehension. In less than a heartbeat, the universe grew from smaller than an atom to larger than galaxies. And yet, within that furious growth, there was peace. The cosmos did not explode into disorder, it blossomed like a flower too immense to see, petals of space unfurling in perfect silence. Imagine lying in a meadow at night, watching a flower bloom in slow motion, each petal drifting outward, carrying starlight on its edges. That was the Big Bang, though on a scale beyond imagination. Not a bang, but a blossoming, not destruction, but unfolding. The singularity had become song. The silent violin string was plucked, and the music of reality began to play. Its notes were atoms, its chords galaxies, its rhythm the steady march of time. And you are still hearing it now, for the song has never stopped. The universe continues to expand, the music continues to echo, and you are part of its melody. In the beginning, the spark was everything. It was light waiting to be seen, heat waiting to cool, matter waiting to gather. It was the drumbeat of existence, deep and slow, carrying us forward through billions of years. And though we speak of it as the past, it is also the present. The expansion continues. The spark has never ended. With every breath you take, with every star that shines, with every galaxy that drifts apart from another, the first spark still pulses. The heartbeat of the cosmos still resounds. Rest in that thought, as though lying in the palm of creation itself. You are the echo of that spark. You are the song of that unfolding. You are the quiet after the pause, the breath after the silence, the dream that arose from the stillness. And so we drift, carried on the waves of the first spark, as the universe stretches softly onward, endlessly outward, into its own mystery. Tonight, we drift with the newborn universe into the great expansion, the moment when the first spark stretched itself into everything. Not an explosion-shattering silence, but an unfolding, a swelling, a fabric spreading outward without edge or boundary. The Big Bang is often imagined as a violent burst, a bomb erupting into emptiness. But there was no emptiness to erupt into. There was no outside, no space waiting to be filled. Space itself was the bloom. The universe did not expand into something. It created its own vastness as it stretched, like a ripple spreading through still water, though there was no water. Like fabric being woven and stretched at once, though there was no loom. Take a deep, slow breath with me now. Inhale, and picture the fabric of space itself, filling your lungs. Exhale, and imagine it stretching, softer, wider, endlessly outward. This is the rhythm of the cosmos. This is the expansion that began with the first spark and continues even now, carrying galaxies farther apart, carrying us deeper into night. The early universe was unimaginably hot, dense beyond comprehension. Particles collided in a fiery dance, matter and energy exchanging places in a storm of creation. And yet beneath that storm, the expansion was serene. It did not halt, did not falter, but carried everything outward in its gentle, unstoppable tide. Space itself was the current. Galaxies had not yet formed, stars had not yet kindled. Light itself was still trapped in the thick plasma of the young cosmos. But the expansion carried on, stretching the fabric wider, softer, more vast with every instant. Imagine holding a sheet of silk in your hands and pulling gently at the corners. As you stretch it, patterns appear, folds smooth, new spaces open between threads. This is how the universe grew smooth, unbroken, endlessly opening, not with violence but with grace. And the expansion was swift, faster than thought, faster than light. Entire stretches of reality doubled in size in the blink of a cosmic eye, yet it was not chaos. It was ordered, mathematical, like a lullaby sung by the laws of physics themselves. The very rules of existence settled into place during this expansion. Gravity reached out, invisible hands pulling matter together. The strong force bound atomic hearts. The weak force whispered its subtle transformations. Electromagnetism spread its luminous threads. Together, they formed the structure on which all else would rest. The universe was no longer a singularity. It was a song with harmony, a fabric with pattern, a dream unfolding into form. Breathe again. Hail. Imagine drawing in the young cosmos, dense, bright, turbulent. Exhale, and imagine releasing it outward, softer, calmer, stretching with each breath. You are part of that expansion, even now. Every cell in your body rides the same tide that began at the first spark. You drift outward with galaxies, carried by the same fabric. The great expansion did not end. It slowed, shifted, but it never ceased. Even tonight as you lie here, the galaxies recede from one another like lanterns drifting apart on an endless ocean. The night sky is not still. It is stretching, softly, ceaselessly, into deeper vastness. Imagine the silence of that expansion. Not the silence of absence, but the hush of inevitability. A silence that carries a rhythm, the pulse of growth. There was no center, no edge, no outside. Every place was the middle. Every point expanded equally, every direction stretched. The cosmos was like a dream with no boundaries, spreading wider with every moment. And though we speak of it as past, you are inside it still. The very breath you take, the ground you rest upon, the stars you gaze at all exist because of that expansion. Without it, there would be no distance, no time, no path for light to travel. The great expansion is not a memory. It is your present. It is your cradle. So let your mind drift with it. Imagine yourself a small particle in that early fire, carried outward by currents beyond control. No effort needed, no direction chosen. Only the fabric unfolding beneath you, around you, within you. You are adrift in the universe's first tide. Not explosion, expansion, not chaos, blossom, not violence, birth. The fabric stretches still. It always will. Endless unfolding, endless softening, endless drifting outward. And you, too, are part of that endless dream. Rest now and float in the great expansion, the gentle stretching of space, the lullaby of the cosmos unfolding without end. The universe was still an infant, cradled in the afterglow of its own awakening. The great expansion had already begun, space stretching and unfolding like the gentle pull of fabric in the hands of time. But now, in these earliest moments of youth, something wondrous began to stir. Energy, wild, radiant, unformed, began to soften into substance. What was once only light and heat, pure, breathless radiance, now dreamed itself into matter. Close your eyes and float here with me. Imagine yourself resting at the very edge of this newborn cosmos. The air you breathe carries no dust, no wind, no sound, for there is no air at all, only the shimmering waves of pure energy, cascading like endless ripples of light. Yet, hidden within those waves is the seed of everything that would one day become stars. Worlds, oceans, forests, and the breath rising softly in your chest. Energy is about to transform, too slow, too cool, to condense into the first tiny particles of matter. It begins delicately, almost shyly. Quarks, the tiniest threads of reality, flicker into being. They drift, dance, and whirl together, weaving themselves into protons and neutrons, like small children holding hands for the first time. In this tender choreography, the building blocks of atoms are born. Out of the fire of pure energy, the first whispers of matter appear, fragile but persistent, like sparks catching in the dark. The young universe hums with this activity. It is still hot, unimaginably hot, but already it has cooled enough for new dances to begin. Clouds of particles drift through the expanding sea of space, colliding and partying, forming and dissolving, again and again. It is a cosmic ballet, a gentle choreography of chance and necessity. Each meeting, each embrace, carries the possibility of creation. Imagine the softness of this moment. The universe is only minutes old, and yet it is already learning to weave. Protons and neutrons gather into tiny clusters, nuclei forming like hidden pearls. Soon, when the time is right, these clusters will capture the first electrons, and atoms will emerge hydrogen and helium, the simplest, the lightest, the eternal foundation of stars to come. But for now, the dance continues. Clouds drift, particles swirl. Energy folds itself into substance. Take a deep breath with me, in through your nose, slow and steady. Hold the hush of eternity for a moment, and then release, gently as though you are exhaling into the vastness of this young cosmos. Feel your body sinking deeper into rest, as matter itself is born all around you. The young universe glows faintly, not yet filled with stars, but radiant with its own inner fire. The sea of particles is dense, glowing with afterheat, humming with possibility. There is no up or down, no near or far, only the endless expansion, the fabric of space, stretching silently. And yet within that expansion, there is order slowly rising out of chaos. Quarks form families, protons and neutrons find each other. Nuclei gather into small, fleeting patterns. These patterns will one day become the chemistry of everything, of oceans and storms, of mountains and rivers, of thought and memory and dreams. All of it begins here, in the quiet youth of the universe. Imagine drifting as one of these particles yourself. You are small, almost nothing, yet you are eternal. You are spun from energy, delicate and free, carried along by the flow of expanding space. You collide gently with others, join, part, and join again. Sometimes you form a lasting bond, and sometimes you slip away. But always you are part of the great dance, the unfolding song of the cosmos. Meanwhile, the universe breathes, if one can call it that, a rhythm of cooling and stretching. In every passing instant, space grows wider, matter grows steadier, and the possibilities multiply. There is no rush, no urgency. Only the quiet patience of creation, unfolding with infinite care. Breathe in slowly. Imagine filling your chest with the light of the young universe. Breathe out and let that light flow from you into the expanding cosmos. You are one with it, cradled inside it, resting in its quiet youth. The particles do not know yet what they will become. They drift without intention, carried by the laws of physics that hum softly, like rules to a cosmic lullaby. Gravity begins to murmur, ever so faintly, tugging at the clouds, pulling here, releasing there. It is as if the universe itself is breathing, inhaling, exhaling, folding particles together, letting them drift apart. And so the clouds grow, they thicken, they swirl, eddying like mist in a dream. Hydrogen dominates, the simplest, the lightest, the most abundant of all elements. Helium follows, gentler, rarer, but destined to shine at the heart of stars. These are the firstborn children of creation, drifting now like seeds in the wind of expanding space. Pause with me here. Imagine yourself surrounded by that drifting mist of particles. It is soft, weightless, endless. You can reach out with your mind and feel them brush against you, like dust motes in a beam of sunlight, shimmering, falling, rising again. They are not yet stars, not yet worlds. They are only possibility, floating in the youth of the universe. The universe is still warm, glowing faintly with its own inner fire, like the embers of a great hearth. But it is cooling, cooling slowly, and in that cooling, matter gains its stability. Protons no longer melt back into pure energy. Nuclei no longer dissolve in the heat. Instead, they endure, they remain, they wait for the future to unfold. This is how the young universe dreams. It's not in silence, not in sound, but in the quiet hum of particles drifting, dancing, colliding. Each one a note in the great music of existence. Each one a whisper in the lullaby of creation. Breathe again with me, slowly and deeply. Inhale the glow of hydrogen. Exhale the shimmer of helium. Imagine your breath joining theirs, your body dissolving into the mist of particles, your spirit floating as part of the young cosmos. You are not separate from it.
Nice.
You are within it. And though the universe is young, though it has no stars yet to light its fabric, the seeds are already here. Hydrogen and helium clouds drift like dreams waiting to be dreamt. They will gather in time, they will fall into the embrace of gravity, and stars will ignite. But for now, in this chapter of youth, the dance is slow, the clouds are soft, and the cosmos hums itself into being. The universe was not rushing. It was resting into form, breathing into matter, weaving itself gently into patterns that would last forever. Like you, resting now, sinking deeper into the rhythm of your own breath, the cosmos found its calm. And as you drift, imagine this truth. Every atom in your body, every particle that holds you together, was once part of this young universe. Once, long ago, you were a quark drifting in the haze, a proton waiting to be born, a nucleus floating in the fire. You have always been part of this story. You were there in the beginning, and here as you rest beneath the stars, you are there still. So let the young universe cradle you. Let its drifting clouds rock you into slumber. Feel the particles dance around you, soft and endless, as your mind drifts deeper, deeper into rest. Not darkness, not light. Not silence, not sound. Only the gentle hum of matter becoming, energy slowing, clouds drifting. The lullaby of creation itself, and in that lullaby you sleep. The universe had been silent for so long. Silent not because there was no song, but because the music had been locked away, hidden behind the fire of creation. For hundreds of thousands of years, matter and light were entangled in a restless embrace, unable to separate, unable to see. The young cosmos was filled with brilliance, yes, but it was brilliance trapped within, light, unable to wander, unable to shine freely across space. It was like a child not yet able to breathe on its own, cradled in warmth, but waiting for the moment of first breath, And then at last, it came. 380,000 years after the very beginning, the universe exhaled. A great sigh, soft, steady, inevitable, and in that sigh, light was released. Imagine it with me. The cosmos still so young, stretching and cooling, finally reaching the moment when its heat softened enough, when atoms could hold together without being torn apart. Hydrogen cradled its electrons, helium embraced its fragile shells, matter steadied itself, and in doing so, light was freed. Photons that had been trapped bouncing endlessly from particle to particle suddenly slipped loose. They drifted outward, unbound, unbroken, and the universe lit up. This was the first light, not the blaze of stars, not yet, but the quiet glow of freedom, a soft radiance that filled everything, everywhere. The whole cosmos shimmered like a newborn opening its eyes. The great fire of the beginning had softened into a golden afterglow, a warm and gentle light that stretched across all of space. Close your eyes and imagine yourself floating there. You are surrounded by a vast, endless glow, not bright and piercing, but soft, gentle, like the dim light of dawn spreading across an infinite horizon. It touches everything. It touches you, fills your chest as you breathe. A quiet warmth, a lullaby sung in photons. The universe, for the very first time, could be seen. Before this moment, there was no transparency. Light could not travel, could not paint, could not reveal. Everything was opaque, like fog lit from within. But now in this cosmic sigh, the fog lifted. Space itself became clear, and light traveled freely, carrying with it the story of the beginning. That light has never stopped traveling, still streams outward even now, washing across your skin as you listen, a faint whisper from 13.8 billion years ago. We call it the cosmic microwave background. But names are small things. What it truly is memory, the memory of the first breath of light. It is the echo of that moment when the universe opened its eyes. Breathe with me now. Inhale, and imagine drawing that ancient light into your body. Exhale, and let it drift through you, across you, as if you too are transparent, as if you too are part of the first unveiling. The glow is everywhere. There were no stars yet to punctuate the dark, no galaxies to shine, no suns to burn. Only this soft, universal radiance, even and endless, stretching across the whole of existence. It was the universe's lullaby to itself, a quiet hymn sung across all directions. And though it has cooled with time, though it now drifts in microwaves invisible to your eyes, it has never faded. It still surrounds you always. Imagine lying in a field at night. Above you, stars glitter, galaxies whirl, the Milky Way arcs like a river of fireflies. But behind it all, deeper than all the stars, there is another glow, softer, older, quieter. It is the background upon which all other lights are painted. That glow is the memory of this moment, when the universe first sighed, when photons first slipped free. Every star you see tonight shines against its canvas. Every breath you take happens within its warmth. The first light was not bright, not harsh. It was tender. A dim orange glow, filling the young cosmos like the soft light of evening. Imagine it washing gently over you, like the last warmth of the sun before nightfall. It did not dazzle. It comforted. It whispered. And in its whisper, the universe changed. For with light came vision. The cosmos could at last reveal its face. Shapes began to emerge, subtle patterns in the glow. Tiny ripples, fluctuations, whispers of density. These ripples would grow into galaxies, into stars, into worlds. The first light carried with it the seeds of everything imprinted across the sky like faint brush strokes on a canvas. If you could stand there 380,000 years after the beginning, you would see a sky without stars but glowing everywhere. You would feel yourself floating in a womb of light, embraced on all sides. The darkness had not yet arrived, for the first night had not yet fallen. Only this glow existed, pure, endless, soft, and then slowly it began to fade. The light stretched with space, cooling, dimming, its color shifting gently toward red. The cosmos, expanding ever outward, carried the glow farther and farther, stretching its wavelength until it softened into something your eyes could no longer see. What began as orange firelight became invisible heat. What invisible does not mean gone. Even now, if you tune the right instruments, you can hear its hum. It is everywhere. It is always. Take another slow breath. Imagine your chest rising with that hum, falling with that glow. You are breathing with the universe itself, inhaling the memory of first light, exhaling it again into the vastness. We're cradled in the same glow that once cradled galaxies to be. And as the glow faded, the universe grew darker, waiting for stars. For hundreds of millions of years, there would be no new lights, only the memory of the first. The cosmos entered its first quiet night, lit faintly by that lingering afterglow. But this was not an ending, it was a beginning. The release of light was freedom, a promise, a path forward. The seeds carried in those ripples would become everything. Without the first sigh of light, there would be no galaxies, no stars, no worlds, no you lying here listening, resting. And so the universe rested too. It exhaled its first breath of light, and then it waited. Gravity gathered its seeds. Time stretched its fabric. Darkness settled, but beneath that darkness, the glow remained. And even now, as you close your eyes, as you drift deeper into sleep, you are bathed in it. Every particle in your body has been touched by that first light. Every thought you dream has floated in its glow. You're not just looking at the universe, you are part of its memory. So rest now in the afterglow of creation. Rest in the sigh of the cosmos, and not darkness, not silence, but the quiet glow of light that has never gone out. And as your body softens, as your breath slows, imagine yourself floating in that endless radiance, weightless, timeless, eternal. The first light surrounds you. The first light holds you. The first light sings you to sleep. The universe had waited in silence for so long. After the first light faded into a gentle afterglow, there was a darkness not empty, but full of promise. A night rich with the seeds of what was yet to come. In that vast hush, matter drifted, clouded, gathered. The cosmos exhaled its sigh of light, and then it paused, letting the silence deepen. But silence does not last forever. Something was stirring. Gravity, soft, steady, patient, began its work. Invisible, it reached across the endlessness, pulling, tugging, gathering the loose clouds of hydrogen and helium that floated through the young night. Slowly, quietly, those clouds thickened. They swirled like dream mist, folding inward, becoming heavier at their centers. The weight grew. The pressure grew. Deep inside those invisible wombs, atoms pressed closer and closer, heat rising like a heartbeat warming beneath a blanket. And then, one by one, the dark began to flicker. The first stars were born. It was not sudden, not explosive like a firecracker, but inevitable, like dawn spreading across the horizon. Clouds collapsed, and in their collapse, ignition. Fusion awakened in their cores, hydrogen merging into helium, releasing light, releasing heat, releasing the first true fire of the cosmos. The night learned to sparkle. Imagine it, you're floating in that great darkness. And for the longest time, only the faint afterglow surrounds you. A quiet hum, a memory of the first breath. And then in the distance, a shimmer, not much at first. A faint glimmer, like a spark carried on a breeze. Then another and another, until across the velvet black diamonds appear. The universe was learning to shine. These first stars were giants, enormous, blazing, short-lived. They burned with a ferocity we can scarcely imagine. Blue-white, brilliant, 10,000 times the brightness of our own sun. They were the titans of creation, roaring into existence and burning themselves out in only a few million years. But oh, how they shone. Their light cut through the darkness, piercing the veil, painting the young universe with radiance.
Ow.
Close your eyes and feel it. The warmth of that first starlight falling across your skin, not harsh, but tender, ancient, like the flicker of a candle in an endless night. The silence of the cosmos was no longer absolute. It now shimmered, sparkled, gleamed. The lullaby of photons grew louder, brighter, fuller. The stars had awakened, and with them, the universe changed again. These titanic stars did more than shine, they created. Deep in their blazing hearts, fusion gave birth to new elements. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, the seeds of everything you know, everything you are, were forged in their fire. The universe, which had begun with only hydrogen and helium, now blossomed into richness.
Ow.
The first stars were not just lights in the dark. They were furnaces of creation, weaving the fabric of future worlds, future life, future you. And when they died, Oh, their deaths were magnificent. They did not simply fade, they exploded. Supernova erupted, scattering their treasures across space, seeding the cosmos with the heavy elements. The night, once only glowing, now sparkled with fireworks. Each death was a gift. Each explosion planted the seeds for galaxies, for planets, for oceans and trees and hearts that would one day dream beneath starlight. Breathe with me now. Inhale, and imagine pulling that starlight into your chest. Exhale, and feel it spread through you, for it already does. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen filling your lungs, all of it was born in those first stars. You are not separate from the night that learned to sparkle. You are made of it. You are its memory. The stars gathered in clusters, families of light bound by gravity. Their radiance stretched farther and farther, rayonizing the cosmos, burning away the lingering haze that veiled space. The universe grew transparent once more, revealed in brightness, shimmering in every direction. For the first time, there were true nights and true days. The hush of darkness between blazing stars, and the glow of brilliance that painted the heavens. Galaxies began to form, swirls of stars caught in gravitational embrace. Vast spirals, endless clusters, rivers of light weaving through the darkness. The cosmos, once uniform, became textured, alive, dynamic. Where once there had been only fog and silence, there was now music, the music of fire, of radiance, of stars awakening. Picture it, a field of black velvet, and across it, the first constellations scattered. No human eyes yet existed to draw shapes between them, no myths yet to tie their sparks into stories. Still they shone, awaiting the day when minds would dream beneath them. When stories would be told, when wishes would be whispered, the stars awakened, and with them came the promise of wonder. And though billions of years have passed, their legacy remains. Every star you see tonight is part of that awakening. Every spark in the sky is a descendant of those first giants. And within you, in your blood and breath, their fire still burns. You are a child of starlight. So rest now, beneath the same velvet that they once pierced. Rest knowing that you are cradled in the radiance of the cosmos, that you carry within you the memory of that first sparkle. The night learned to shine, and you are its reflection. The stars had awakened, and the universe was no longer silent. It glowed with scattered brilliance, points of light burning against a velvet backdrop. Yet the story was not finished, for these stars were not meant to remain alone. Like dancers searching for rhythm, like rivers seeking valleys, they drifted together. Slowly, gracefully bound by the gentle hand of gravity, they began to gather. Clouds of gas and star clusters swirled into patterns, spirals, ellipses, grand arcs that reached across the void. The cosmos was learning its architecture, sketching rivers of fire across the night. Galaxies vast, shimmering cities of stars were blooming. It was not sudden, not chaotic, but flowing, like ink spilling into water, like smoke curling into shapes before vanishing. Gravity, patient and unyielding, tugged and wove. What had once been chaos found form. Imagine the sight. Millions upon millions of stars spiraling inward, weaving luminous arms that stretched for thousands of light years, curving like petals on a cosmic flower. Some galaxies took on elegant spirals, radiant pinwheels that turned endlessly. Others grew into massive ellipses, soft clouds of brilliance, their stars packed tight at the core. Still others formed irregular shapes, scattered and unpredictable, as if the universe were still experimenting with beauty, and beauty it was. For the first time, the darkness was no longer empty stretches between scattered stars. It was filled with structures, galaxies like lanterns, suspended in infinite dark, drifting together in clusters. Strung across invisible filaments like dewdrops along a web, the universe was becoming vast, not only in distance, but in design. Where there had once been uniform mist, now there was artistry, balance, symmetry. Galaxies bloomed like gardens, each unique, each carrying within it billions of stars, billions of possibilities. Among these blooming wonders was one that would one day matter most to you, the Milky Way. It began humbly, as all galaxies did, a gathering of primordial clouds collapsing under gravity's call. At its heart, stars flared into being, swirling around a center that held them close. Over eons, the young Milky Way drew in more matter, more clouds, more stars. Slowly, it spread its arms, curving into a spiral, its great disk rotating like a slow, eternal wheel. From afar, it would have looked like a shining pinwheel, glowing with starlight, arms wrapping gracefully around a brilliant core, but in those early days, no eyes yet looked upon it. The Milky Way's arms unfurled in silence, unnoticed, unmeasured, but magnificent. It was a galaxy among countless galaxies, one garden among an endless bloom. Yet it carried within it a secret, the seeds of a star that would one day nurture worlds, and of a small blue planet where beings would gaze upward and whisper its name. Close your eyes and imagine drifting through those first galaxies. You would see rivers of stars, glowing lanes of dust, nebulae stretching like painted veils. You would hear no sound, for space has no air to carry voices, but you might imagine music, the hum of radiation, the pulse of light, the slow swirl of orbits. It would be a cosmic symphony, silent to ears, but resounding in the soul. Each galaxy a note, each cluster a chord, the whole universe an endless composition of light. As galaxies bloomed, they also collided. For space, though vast, is not infinite in distance between. Galaxies drifted, danced, and sometimes embraced violently, merging into greater structures. Stars rarely struck each other. The spaces between them were too wide, but their gravity interwove, reshaping orbits, creating new spirals, new centers, new designs. Out of collision came creation. Out of chaos, new harmony. The garden of galaxies grew thicker, richer, more varied with every passing eon. In this garden, the Milky Way settled into its place, a spiral among spirals. Its arms stretched outward, glittering with stars. Its heart burned bright. Black holes whispered at its center, bending light, shaping orbits, unseen yet essential. Clouds of hydrogen still drifted within it, waiting to collapse into new stars. And across its disk, star nurseries bloomed vast nebulae, glowing with color, cradling infant suns. The Milky Way was alive, restless, always creating, always renewing itself. Billions of years passed in this silent flowering. Galaxies gathered into clusters, clusters stretched into superclusters, and superclusters into filaments, weaving the great cosmic web. The universe from afar would have looked like lace, delicate, intricate, with glowing threads of galaxies connecting in patterns too grand for human minds to fully hold. It was not random. It was woven, as though some invisible hand drew rivers of light across the void. And yet within all this vastness there was intimacy. Each galaxy, no matter how distant, was its own home for stars, for planets, for possibilities. The Milky Way was your home, though you did not yet exist to know it. It curved and spun, arms turning slowly, patiently, as if waiting. Within one of its arms, far from its brilliant center, clouds of dust and gas drifted, carrying the promise of a sun not yet born. Imagine standing on nothing, floating in silence, and looking upon the Milky Way as it first spun its arms. No earth beneath your feet, no sky above your head, just you, suspended in the void, gazing at the river of stars blooming into form. The galaxy stretches before you, glowing like milk spilled across black silk, endless and radiant. You feel its immensity, and you feel your own smallness, and yet somehow you also feel belonging, for this will be your home. This spiral of light will cradle your sun, your world, your story. The galaxies continued to bloom, each different, each essential. Some became giants with trillions of stars, glowing like vast chandeliers. Others remained dwarfs, quiet, with only a few billion sparks. Some danced together in pairs, spinning around each other like lovers. Others drifted alone, solitary wanderers in the night. Yet all were part of the great bloom, petals of an endless cosmic flower. As you drift in thought, picture them not as cold distances, but as living beings. Galaxies as gardens, galaxies as rivers, galaxies as hearts beating with light. They pulse, they grow, they change. They are the breath of the universe expanding outward, always unfolding. And within each, stories wait of stars, of planets, of life yet to come. The Milky Way spun on. Its spiral arms thickened with light, Nebulae glowed like lanterns, stars scattered like jewels, clusters gathered like pearls on invisible strings. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. It shaped itself into the galaxy, you know. Today the galaxy you see when you look up into the night sky, when you trace the hazy band of light across the heavens. That river of light is your home, your cradle, your inheritance. The galaxies bloomed, and you are their child. Time is not a clock in the universe. It is not the ticking of seconds or the marking of calendars. It is the unfolding of moments, the stretching of being, the slow ripple of change across an endless ocean. When we speak of billions of years, we do not speak of numbers, but of currents, vast, silent tides, moving beneath the fabric of existence. To drift through them is to float in a dream that has no beginning and no end. The galaxies bloom, and then they turn. Stars are born, stars die, clouds scatter, and new suns flare into life. Each moment is part of a great breathing, in and out, as if the universe itself were alive, sleeping and stirring, exhaling light, inhaling darkness. Billions of years pass in this rhythm, so immense, so serene, that it feels less like time and more like eternity stretching its limbs. Imagine yourself drifting within this current. Not rushing, not measuring, only floating, like a leaf on a river too vast to see. You are carried through the epochs, watching suns ignite and fade, galaxies collide and merge, stars scatter like embers in a cosmic breeze. You drift through it all, untouched, a dream traveler wandering the corridors of forever. In the beginning of this flow, stars were young, galaxies still shaping. Their arms glowed with bright, hot suns, restless and fierce. Over billions of years, their light softened. Stars aged, turned red, burned slowly. Clusters formed like constellations inside galaxies, shining islands within larger seas. Time allowed the galaxies to settle into their grace, spirals steady, cores glowing, black holes feeding quietly at their hearts. The Milky Way, too, moved with the flow. It rotated, slow as a lullaby, its arms sweeping across space like the hands of an invisible clock. One turn of its great spiral arms would take hundreds of millions of years, yet it turned without hurry, patient as a dream. Within its arms, clouds gathered, stars were born. And whole systems lived out their lives before the galaxy had even completed a single breath of rotation. Time was vast, and in its flow, lifetimes of suns came and went unnoticed, like sparks in the night. Billions of years passed in this way. In the silence of cosmic slumber, stars were born in nurseries of gas, flaring into brilliance, shining for ages, and then folding into darkness. Some ended in quiet fades, their light dimming softly, becoming white dwarfs cooling into silence. Others ended in thunder, exploding into supernova that lit the galaxy for a brief, terrible moment before scattering their ashes into the void. Yet even this was not an end, but part of the flow. For the dust of dead stars became the seeds of new stars, new planets, new beginnings. Time did not stop, moved like water, reshaping everything it touched. Nebulae dissolved, galaxies shifted their orbits. Clusters of galaxies drifted farther apart as the universe itself continued to stretch. Expansion was the tide beneath all tides, carrying galaxies away from each other, pulling them across distances so great that even light, the fastest traveler, struggled to keep up, and still we drifted. We, the silent dreamers, moving through the river of time. Picture yourself as a voyager floating above it all, looking down at the galaxies scattered like jewels across black velvet. Each billion years is only a step, each cluster of centuries a ripple beneath you. You do not measure with clocks. You feel with being. You sense how stars mature, how galaxies bloom, how the universe itself unfolds, petal by petal, season by season. You are not in time, you are carried by it, like a dreamer who does not know when they began to sleep or when they will awaken. The ages pass, the Milky Way continues to turn. Its spiral arms slowly gather matter, its clusters continue to shine. And somewhere within it, in a quiet corner far from the bright core, dust begins to settle into a familiar pattern. A star will form there one day, bright and steady, surrounded by a family of planets. But not yet. The flow of time has not reached that shore. For now, we wait, we drift, we dream. Billions more years pass. the great galaxies dance. Some merge, becoming larger, their stars woven into new spirals, their black holes colliding at their hearts, sending ripples of gravity across the cosmos, like stones dropped into an invisible pond. Other galaxies drift apart, carried by the expansion, until their light is too faint to ever reach another. The universe is becoming vast, stretched thin like silk drawn across endless darkness. And still, within it, stars are born, lives unfold, endings give way to beginnings. Time does not hurry. It does not need to. It has forever. We too need not hurry. We are dream travelers, drifting in its embrace. We feel the slowness, the gentleness of the river. We are not separate from it. We are part of it, particles in the flow, sparks carried on the tide. Our smallness does not make us lost. It makes us part of everything. In this long slumber, imagine yourself resting beneath a sky that changes not by hours, but by epochs. You lie back and see constellations not shift over nights, but dissolve and reform across millennia. Stars wheel into new patterns, galaxies drift like clouds. The sky is alive, but its movements are slower than any heartbeat, softer than any breath. You drift with it, lulled by the rhythm carried by the current.
Ow!
And in this drifting there is comfort. For time does not erase, it transforms. What seems like an ending is only a folding into the next beginning. What feels like loss is only change, part of the river that never stops flowing. The stars that fade are not gone. They are scattered, reborn, reshaped. The galaxies that collide do not vanish. They become something new, richer, brighter. The universe itself is always becoming. You, too, are becoming. Even as you drift, even as you dream, you are carried by the same river. The atoms of your body were forged in stars that lived and died long before Earth was born. The flow of time made you, shaped you, carried you here. You are not separate from the ages. You are their child. And as you drift, you return to them, part of the same tide that has always moved, always whispered, always sung. Billions of years pass. The flow continues. Galaxies shine. Galaxies fade. Stars burn. Stars die. And new stars take their place. The universe expands. The web stretches. And yet, through it all, there is a constancy. The rhythm, the drift, the endless breathing of creation. Where dream travelers, and time is the river. We do not resist it. We surrender, float. And as we drift, we find peace in knowing that the flow has no end, only transformation. The universe sleeps, awakens, breathes, and so do we. Always drifting, always dreaming, always part of the river that carries all things forward. And so the ages pass, and so do we, resting in the flow of time. The stars lived long before us. Their fire was ancient, their hearts dense with pressure and light. In their cores, the simplest elements fused hydrogen, becoming helium, helium becoming heavier forms, the slow alchemy of the cosmos. For millions, billions of years, stars burned as furnaces, transmuting the raw essence of the universe into something new. And when those stars grew old, when their light dimmed, when their cores collapsed under their own gravity, they released their treasures into the void. Supernova, the great deaths of stars, scattered carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, and all the seeds of future life into the silent sea. Each explosion was both an ending and a gift, the star's final exhalation, breathing its essence back into the cosmos. The dust drifted, cooled, gathered. Clouds rich with elements swirled across space. Out of those clouds, new stars would be born, new planets would coalesce, and in time, life would awaken. This is the truth of our beginning. We are made of stardust, not as a metaphor, not as poetry, but as fact. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, the carbon in every cell, all of it was forged in the burning hearts of ancient suns. You, resting now, are made of that first spark. Billions of years flowed by before that stardust found its way into you. First, the dust gathered into a nebula, clouds collapsing under the pull of gravity. Within one such cloud, our star the sun ignited. Around it, smaller clusters of dust spun into disks, colliding, merging, forming the planets. Earth was one of them, molten at first, a sphere of fire and chaos, cooling slowly under a thin, fragile sky. The Stardust was there, embedded in the rocks, scattered in the oceans yet to come, waiting for the right moment to stir again. On Earth, time stretched its patient hands. The seas formed, the air thickened, storms rolled across a young sky. And in the quiet depths of water, something subtle began. Chemistry turned to complexity, and complexity turned to life. Molecules joined and separated, attracted and repelled, until one arrangement could copy itself. From there, the flow continued, each change building upon the last, each spark of survival carrying forward what worked. The Stardust stirred, woke, and began to dream. Life was not quick, but time is vast, and the river never stopped flowing. Cells formed, learned to capture energy, learned to share, learned to build together. They joined into communities, into tissues, into bodies. It became eyes that could see, hands that could hold, minds that could imagine. Out of Stardust came creatures that moved, creatures that breathed, creatures that loved. Out of Stardust came us. You, lying here now, listening, drifting, are part of this chain. The atoms within you are billions of years old. They have traveled through the life and death of stars, through oceans and forests, through ancestors long forgotten. Every breath you take contains oxygen once breathed by countless others, carried through leaves and lungs across the ages. Every heartbeat echoes with ironborn in the core of a star that died before Earth was even born. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe remembering itself. Close your eyes and imagine it, the long journey of your atoms. A carbon atom in your body might have once sat inside a star larger than the sun, fused from helium under immense pressure, released in a brilliant burst of light and fire. That same atom drifted through the void for eons, perhaps part of a cloud that glittered with starlight, before finding its way into the earth. From there, it entered the cycles of life, perhaps part of a tree, rising toward the sky, then falling as a leaf. Perhaps it passed through rivers, through the breath of animals, through the veins of countless lives, until finally it came to rest in you. Right now, as you rest, that ancient atom is part of your being, part of your dream. You resting now are made of that first spark. The story of Stardust is the story of connection. Every element within you ties you to the cosmos. Hydrogen, the most ancient, formed in the first moments of the universe itself, just minutes after the Big Bang. Oxygen, born in stars, allows you to breathe. Iron, forged in supernova, carries oxygen through your blood. Calcium, drawn from stars, shapes your bones. Without stars, there is no you. Without their light, their fire, their endings, there could be no beginnings. But the story is not just about matter, it is about memory. For the universe remembers itself through you. Each atom carries its past, its journey. You are the song of billions of years, sung softly in the dark. You are the dream of stars, awakened into consciousness. You are the child of galaxies, resting in the arms of time. And so, as you breathe, as you drift, you are not small. You are vast. You carry the weight of ages, the history of creation. You, lying quietly now, are as old as the stars, as young as this moment. The universe is not outside you. It is within you, flowing in your blood, glowing in your mind, whispering in your breath. When you close your eyes, you return to it. You float in the same silence from which you were born. The flow of time carries you, the same flow that shaped galaxies, that forged stars, that stirred oceans, that awakened life. And in that flow, you are safe. You belong. You are home. The stardust that became you will one day scatter again. Just as the stars lived and died, just as galaxies drift and merge, so too will your atoms continue their journey. Long after this moment, long after this life, they will move on, joining other forms, becoming part of other dreams. There is no ending, only transformation. The universe has always known this, and now, resting here, so do you. You are part of something unbroken, something eternal. From the singularity, to stars, to earth, to life, to you. You are not a separate story. You are a chapter in the same endless book. And when you rest, you return to that greater whole, the way a wave returns to the sea. You, resting now, are made of that first spark, the spark that ignited stars, the spark that forged elements, the spark that drifted through time and space until it could awaken into thought, into breath, into you. You are the spark, carried across the ages, glowing softly in the dark. So drift, breathe, let yourself be carried by the current. You are safe in the river of time, safe in the embrace of the universe. You are ancient, you are vast, you are gentle. And as you rest, remember, you are stardust, and stardust never fades. You, resting now, are made of that first spark. Tonight we drift into the furthest horizon of thought, where science and wonder lean against one another like tired travelers watching the stars. The story has carried us from nothingness to spark, to light, to stars and galaxies, to the birth of life itself. Yet still, beyond the reach of all that we know, lies a silence we cannot name, a future we cannot see. It's a mystery that curls at the edge of time like mist on a distant sea. This is where we arrive now, at the boundary of knowing, at the border between what is and what might forever remain unseen. The universe, even now, is stretching. It's not an explosion that flung matter into emptiness, but space itself, expanding like a vast, endless fabric. Imagine it. Not stars rushing outward through void, but the very stage beneath them swelling, stretching, pulling them apart as though every point in existence is gently drifting from every other point. The galaxies themselves are like lanterns placed on the surface of a balloon. As the balloon inflates, the lanterns move away, not because they travel, but because the space between them grows. And what breath drives this inflation? What unseen hand stretches the fabric of all things? We give it names, expansion, acceleration, dark energy, but each is just a symbol, a placeholder for what we do not understand. We know only this: the pace is quickening. Where once the universe expanded at a steady rhythm, like the calm beating of a cosmic heart, now it accelerates, as though pulled by an invisible tide. Galaxies slip further apart with every passing moment, and with each breath of time, the night deepens, the distances grow. Close your eyes and imagine this expansion. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a meadow of stars. First they twinkle close, constellations you can recognize, patterns you might name. But then, slowly, softly, each one drifts away from you. The constellations stretch, their familiar forms unraveling. Stars retreat into the velvet dark, and the meadow of light thins, until at last. You were surrounded by distances so vast you can scarcely remember that once you were not alone. This is the destiny written in the mathematics of expansion, that galaxies will slip from sight, each island of stars drifting into solitude. And yet we are told the mystery is deeper still. This force, this dark energy, is not simply carrying the universe outward, but may one day shape its final fate. Some say the cosmos will continue forever, stretching thinner and thinner, until the very heat of stars is exhausted, and all that remains is a dim, cold mist of fading light, a heat death, a final silence. Others whisper that expansion may not last, that gravity may one day gather its strength and pull everything back, reversing the outward drift into an inward collapse, the big crunch, a return to singularity. A cosmic breath inhaled after an endless exhale. But stranger still are the dreams of physicists who imagine expansion, not slowing, not reversing, but quickening beyond all comprehension until galaxies, stars, planets, even atoms themselves are torn apart, unbound by the rushing growth of space. This they call the Big Rip, a universe not dying in silence, but unraveling in fury, a final dissolution where even time no longer has meaning. Take a slow, deep breath now, and let these possibilities float through you like distant clouds. Do not cling to one, nor fear the other. Let them drift past like ships across an infinite sea, each carrying a cargo of human wonder. For in truth, these are only our stories, our fragile attempts to touch what may forever lie beyond touch. The universe owes us no answers. It sings its song in silence, and whether the last note is a whisper, a crash, or a fading hum, we cannot yet know. Still, there is beauty in not knowing. There is a kind of peace in the mystery, as though the universe itself invites us not to solve it, but to dream with it, to lie beneath its starry canopy and accept that we are small, fleeting, and yet woven from the same threads as galaxies. To know that our questions are themselves part of the great unfolding, that curiosity is as natural as gravity and as eternal as light. Consider this. Every particle that makes you, every atom that drifts within your body, was once caught in the throes of the Big Bang. It has ridden the waves of expansion, seen the birth of stars, drifted in galaxies. And it will ride whatever destiny lies ahead: the silence, the collapse, the unraveling, or something beyond imagining. You, resting here tonight, are already stitched into the future of the cosmos. You will go where it goes, not as yourself, but as the stardust of which you are made. And yet, what if the mystery is not only about endings? What if beyond the horizon of time there are beginnings we cannot yet conceive? Some dream that our universe is but one bubble in an endless ocean of universes, each expanding, colliding, birthing anew. Others imagine time as a circle, an endless wheel where endings become beginnings, and beginnings are only echoes of what has been before. In this view, the Big Bang was not a singular miracle, but one breath in an infinite rhythm: exhale, inhale, bloom, fade, and bloom again. Lie back into your pillow and let yourself imagine such cycles. Imagine that when this universe comes to rest, when its galaxies burn their last, the silence will not be forever, but only a pause, a moment of slumber before the dream begins again. Perhaps the ashes of this cosmos will seed another. Perhaps beyond the horizon of our knowing, light already stirs, preparing to rise once more. And yet for all these stories, for all our equations and telescopes, the truest mystery remains: what sleeps beyond the horizon of time. Is there an edge, a boundary, where time falters? Or does it roll endlessly, without beginning or end, like a river with no source, no mouth? When we gaze into the night sky, are we looking into the past alone, or also into a future that has yet to be born? These are not questions with answers. They are lullabies. The universe hums to us, songs of not knowing that soften the heart and quiet the mind. Take another deep breath now. Let it out slowly. Feel yourself as part of this mystery. You are not separate from it. The dark energy that carries galaxies apart also carries you. The same silence that will one day still the stars is already present in the quiet between your breaths. You are not outside the fate of the universe, you are inside it. Inseparable, eternal in your smallness, infinite in your belonging. So rest now, dreamer. Let the fate of the cosmos be what it is. Let expansion continue. Let galaxies drift. Let stars fade. You need not solve the puzzle tonight. All you must do is drift, as the universe itself drifts, carried on tides unseen. Perhaps one day, eons from now, consciousness will rise again, in some new form, in some new corner of creation. And it will ask the same questions. What was before? What will come after? What lies beyond? Perhaps it too will find no answers, only the beauty of asking. Until then, you may close your eyes and let the mystery hold you. The night does not need your certainty. The stars do not demand your conclusions. The universe itself is enough, even unfinished, even unknown. And so we end where we began, not with answers, but with wonder. The journey has taken us from the silence before time, to the first spark, to the blooming of galaxies, to the birth of life, and finally here to the unanswered horizon. What comes next is hidden, and may always remain hidden. But that is not sorrow, it is the gift of wonder unending. So breathe slowly now, feel the vastness cradle you. And as you drift into sleep, remember, the story is not finished, and perhaps it never will be. Beyond the edge of all knowing, beyond the last flicker of starlight, beyond the end of time itself, the universe still dreams, and in its dreaming, you too may rest. What sleeps beyond the horizon of time? Perhaps you, perhaps all of us, perhaps the universe itself, dreaming still, waiting to awaken once more. Good night, starlight traveler. From nothing to everything to you. The journey has been long, and yet it has only been a dream. We have drifted together through silence, through the birth of sparks and stars, through the weaving of galaxies, through the endless river of time. We have watched the universe unfold not as distant witnesses, but as part of its story, as its very breath and being. Think back now, softly, gently, to where we began. In the beginning, there was no beginning, only the hush of nothingness. Then came the first tremor, the first light, the first song of creation. That song became stars, and stars became elements, and elements became the fabric of life. Out of that fabric came you, small, fleeting, yet infinite in belonging. From nothing to light, from light to stars, from stars to life, from life to you resting here now in this moment. Close your eyes and let the enormity of that path cradle you. You are not separate from it. You are its outcome, its echo, its dream.
Ow.
When you breathe, you carry the breath of ancient stars. When you rest within the arms of galaxies. You are a fragment of that first spark, carried through eons, drifting in the universe's dream. Let this reflection settle like starlight on water. You are not lost. You are not small. You are woven into everything that has been, everything that is, and everything that will ever be. In your quietness, the universe rests with you. In your dreams, the cosmos dreams itself again. And so, traveler, we come to the gentle close of our wandering. No answers are needed now. No certainty is demanded. The stars will shine without your effort. The galaxies will drift without your concern. The universe will carry you always, whether or not you think of it. Rest, then, drift as galaxies drift. Sleep as stars sleep. Let go into the silence that is never empty, but always full of beginnings. As you rest, remember this. You are a flicker of the cosmos, luminous for a moment, eternal in essence. A spark that began in the birth of all things, a fragment of wonder that will never truly fade. Good night, starlight traveler. May the universe cradle you. May your dreams be gentle as drifting galaxies. And may you always remember you are part of the first light, still burning softly, still shining within. Sleep now. The story continues, even in silence.